Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Rick Vavro and Austin Underground. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking. Get your questions in this morning. We got a little bit to talk about before we get to those questions, though, guys. And I think the first piece here, a lot of people expected it, but it was confirmed yesterday. It's going to be a big noon kickoff for Texas, Ohio State.
Yeah, Fox selected the game, so we'll see where it goes from here. But we do not. Not a surprise that Fox selected the game. It will be the game of the week on that week one. Although, as Jerry has mentioned previously, and we talked a little bit about yesterday, it's an exciting week one, as exciting a week one as you're going to find, and so. Miami, Notre Dame in that week. I mean, Jerry, it's just there's a number of different games coming, but clearly the game in Columbus is going to be the game of the week. No doubt about it. I think it will mark, in my opinion, even though there's like a game in Dublin between Iowa State and Kansas State in like August 23rd. Texas, Ohio State will mark the beginning of the 2025 college football season. It's a rematch of the national semifinal. Two teams that are as talented as any in the country. I'm here for it. The true debut of Arch Manning, I believe, as well. We'll see what the Buckeyes have for us up in Columbus.
I like I like playing Ohio State game one. I like playing them early instead of the night. If you're playing in Columbus, I think all of it sets up better for Texas. I know some people would prefer to have the night game, but not me. I'd rather play at 11 if I'm visiting Ohio State, the first game of the year. So, it was expected. Obviously, College Game Day will be there as well. Huge games that first weekend. We talked about it a little bit last night, but I like that it'll be a big noon kickoff. And I don't think they've actually officially said that yet.
Yeah, I don't know that it's definitely big noon, but that is the premier spot for them, and you got to think that that's what it's going to be, Jerry. I agree with you. They had their as we mentioned as we were leaving yesterday. They had their up fronts yesterday. All the television partners had their upfronts, at least Fox did from a sports perspective yesterday, and they ran that out there. They may be waiting to see if it's noon or not for noon Central, but we'll see where it goes from there.
But before we get to recruiting, I want to congratulate. It's a lot of chat talking here. Mavs fans, congrats on getting the number one pick. Cooper Flag headed your way. I'm one of the few that disagrees with a lot of these Mav fans. I wasn't upset about the Luka trade. Get in shape, play better, play defense, get back. Go look at the old videos of Luka versus the videos now. And the injuries happened right after that trade. Mavs would have had a better team than the Lakers, in my opinion. But Cooper, congrats on Cooper to Dallas. He'll sell a lot of jerseys and. He'll be a good representative. And Bobby, you said last night a face for the Mavs, and they have a face again for the Mavs. Oh, and prayers to Jason Tatum. Sarah, thank you. Torn Achilles tendon last. I don't know if it's officially come out, but boy, if it wasn't, that's what it looks like in the closing minutes of the loss to the Knicks. Man, that tough for a great player.
All right. Well, Bobby, before we get to recruiting as well, I'm going to let you tell everyone today about our sponsor, Austin Underground.
Yeah, absolutely. Each and every Tuesday morning, Coffee and Football brought to you by our friends over at Austin Underground. Since 2004, they've specialized in difficult underground commercial installations. The team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. Rick Vavro and his team offer an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. They also have a sister company called Texas Road. So if you have large road projects, make sure you check out Texas Road for subdivisions, ranches, that sort of thing. TexasRoad.com as well. And they also allow us to do this every morning.
Yeah.
Our sponsors are very important to us. And thanks, Rick, and the other folks we talked about this morning as well.
I know we're about to hit recruiting Derek Cooper, but I got to respond to the chat because they said talk about the Spurs getting the number 2 pick, 2 and 14. Obviously, y'all are thinking the same thing. My kid texted me last night. He's an NBA guy, has salary caps. All of he said Spurs are going to try to package it all and trade for Giannis. Giannis wants to go to either Texas or to Houston or Spurs or the Miami Heat. Somebody's going to pull it off for Giannis, and I'm quite sure all you Spurs fans, if Giannis was paired with Wemby, if you keep Stephon Castle, you'd be pretty happy. That'd be a quick turnaround for your franchise.
Wow. I was unaware of this.
Yeah, Giannis wants to go to a no-income state.
No income tax state?
Yep. Yeah, so he's headed. So the Rockets will be in the market. The Spurs will be in the market, and the Miami Heat don't have enough, but they'll try to be in the market.
Hey, that's like some recruits. They want to go to no income tax states too with NIL.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hey, I don't want to be taxed on anything either, but I want all the things that come with. I want free roads, man.
All right, well, let's talk a little recruiting this morning. Jerry, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so I was at Chaminade Madonna yesterday for practice. Really talented team. There's about 10 schools in South Florida that kind of where all the kids are going right now that are most talented schools. Obviously, this is one of them. Derek Cooper looked tremendous physically. We played his huddle. I think we're going to play his huddle. We played some quick video of him I took last night on our recruiting breakdown show, which Jeff Howe and I are going to record later today. We're going to have about a 4-minute interview I did with Derek Cooper at the end of recruiting breakdown. 6'1" and change, 210. Tremendous looking kid physically, runs 10.7. I talked to him and he even wants to keep playing safety this year. He's just all about winning. He plays on a really talented team. They have a 2027 linebacker. It's going to be really good, by the way. He was thumping guys yesterday. And they got some other talented young defensive backs over there. Texas running backs coach Chad Scott was there watching the whole practice, had his video camcorder off. There was when they went to team and it was full contact team, Derek Cooper kind of danced it inside and popped it outside on a little bit of outside zone, almost set it up and increased it for about 75. And Chad Scott turned off his camera and got on the phone. And I was like, yeah, well, that's probably a good sign. When you see the guys turn the camera off and kind of shake their head and get on the phone, somebody did something really good around the spring practice. So Derek Cooper, one of the top backs in the country, whether you come out with him, Xavier Crowell, maybe somebody else in there. Derek Cooper's a big time talent and a guy that he said he's 100% going to make an official visit to Texas. Chad Scott had an in-home last night, and that in-home I think just centered around, again, continue to get more comfortable, the family with Chad Scott. Texas wants a weekend OV. Those weekend OVs, those are teams that have been recruiting Cooper for 2 years. So we'll see if he backs off any of those 3 weekend OVs or if Texas brings him in on a midweek. He's going to officially visit, period. It's going to happen unless something barring to the unforeseen. And I think Texas is going to be right there in this recruitment. I think they had a great visit to Texas a couple of weeks ago. And after talking to people yesterday at the high school around the practice, they all think Texas is going to be right there in this recruitment. So we'll see where it heads. But again, one of the top players in the country, tremendous running back build. I said this about him too. The tall running backs, you want, ideally from a frame standpoint, you want to have neutral or +1 arm length, but so they can pocket a football. Some of your taller backs may be a +4, +5 wingspan, and your arms are so long, especially from elbow to wrist, that you have a hard time pocketing a football. Adrian Peterson today had the strongest hand grip that strongest hand I've ever shaken, but his arms are so long, he had a hard time pocketing a football. And I'm not comparing the two players, but what I am saying is he's got about neutral to +1 arm length. That's really good for a taller running back. Really good.
I've got several things. First of all, Chad Scott, the Texas running back coach, was expected to make a home visit last night as well, Jerry.
Yeah, he did.
He did make that home visit. So that's number one. Number two is what I'm noticing here is he's a football player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good running back. Don't get me wrong, but blocking punts, knocking away passes, you get the sense that he likes the game a little bit. You know what I mean by that? He's not just out there to play running back, and that's what I mean. So I like that a lot. And then the last thing is really from what you showed us yesterday, last night on Talking Ball. You had those videos of him in person. Even though we're seeing this far away tape right now, this all 22 look from Huddle, I've got to be honest, Jerry, the thing that grabs me as it relates to him was his body makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, he is with that close in video you had yesterday, he looks like a running back. I mean, he's built, lower body built, midsection, husky, kind of that powerful build. I mean, I could see, I'll just put it this way. I don't know if he's the number one running back in the country. You mentioned Xavier Crowell. It's not really going to matter with this guy. Right. The guy he reminds me of a little bit, to be honest, is the running back that Texas played against Ohio State.
And John Judkins?
No, Henderson.
Oh, Henderson.
Because he's just so thick and fast and all of those things. And I think he's a football player. So anyways, that's who he reminds me of a little bit. So may end up going to Ohio State, huh? Is it Miami, Texas?
He's a one-time Georgia commitment. Was back up to Georgia a couple times since decommitting. Georgia, Texas, Miami, Ohio State, I think are your four. We'll see what happens. Clayton asking who is this guy? It's Derek Cooper, the running back from Chaminade Madonna High. There in Hollywood, Florida. So he is one of the top backs of the country. Yeah, I love him. Rick Free, Savian Hitler's the composite number one. Good player too. But I'll take my chances here.
Yeah. Yeah. He looked really good in that video you had yesterday, Jerry.
Yeah, and the thing about him too is the thing that I like about he's got. Don't get scared when I say this, chat. He's got some Cedric Baxter to him. To me, again, really good pass catcher, really good willing blocker. His running back coach, and I put a photo on TexasFootball.com where his running back coach is behind him, kind of centering him for a drill. And his running back coach is Sean Shivers, who played at Auburn, who played at the same high school as a little jet, ran like 10-4. But he's got a really good running back coach at the high school level, too. He's just like 3 years removed from playing at Auburn and came back to coach high school football. But he's got some Cedric Baxter in him. It's almost like, he's just out there kind of leading. He said in the video, sir, I have to play safety, too. I'm going to play some safety, too, for my team. I mean, it's that whole mindset. And when you have that mindset, it makes you really attractive to college coaches, especially in this day and age.
Well, yes, you're also the number one running back in the country.
Right. That's still going to play. He's going to play until he cramps. I jokingly say these guys play until they cramp. I watch Quandre Diggs do it at Angleton, and these guys are just tremendous football players. Dylan Jester, as a follow-up, is Texas in a good spot with KJ Edwards. Texas is all in on KJ Edwards, Derek Cooper, Xavier Crowell. Amari Latimer's scheduled to officially visit. He's the one guy I just don't know if he actually will. I think I said last night, living rent-free, I think asked a couple of days ago. I do think Wisconsin, because his brother's playing there, and because I think they're all in on him, or maybe Miami and Texas are all in on a couple other guys, could lead Latimer to Wisconsin and maybe even not even make the Texas OV. But then there's the running back that Texas offered in Georgia or late last week, who runs 10-6. Texas is talking to him about an OV as well. Something I wanted to follow up on while we're talking recruiting, because I know we got a lot of recruiting questions. I want to follow up on this. Somebody said, and I thought I started, Austin T said, we're moving the second tier guys in recruiting. I totally disagree with that. Texas is continuing to evaluate. I think I would just say this. Grayson Littleton didn't have an offer this time last year. He didn't even get an offer until November. If that's your second tier, I'll take them all day. I think it's Texas's thorough in evaluation. They offered a 2026 corner from West Boca yesterday afternoon. Mark Orfe was down at St. Thomas Aquinas seeing Justice Fitzpatrick. I believe did it in home last night there. But so also went over to West Boca, one of the newer, like I said, there's about 10 schools where all the kids go in Florida right now in South Florida. This team was 15-0 and won the 6A state title almost out of nowhere last year. And they have a corner, Jaden Broadnax, who's about 6'2", very similar to Hayward Howard Jr. Texas offered him yesterday afternoon. Now he's a Louisville commitment. Auburn's bringing him in on an OV, a couple others. He's kind of starting to get a lot of attention. And I don't think it's Texas moving to second-tier guys at all. I think Texas is continuing to evaluate players to ensure they're going wherever they have to find the best players in the country, in their opinion. And, I mean, they're going to continue to sign top 5 classes and bring in tremendous players. And, I think these kids develop at different rates. These kids have the length of their runway are different. To some of these kids, it takes longer to get the plane off the ground, so to speak. They're later developers physically, but there is so much talent out there. If you get tied into just recruiting rankings, so that's the easiest way to miss some really talented players around the country.
You have no problem convincing me of this, Jerry, because the Stark doesn't move on to second tier.
No. They find more first tiers that aren't ranked as first tiers at the time.
Yeah, I don't. That's just antithetical to what he has done in his history at Texas. So I disagree with that. So Derek Cooper certainly in that category. Jerry, where are you going today? What you got going on today?
Well, after I leave here, I'm crossing the state. I'm gonna go a little south of Lake Okeechobee. There's no direct path. I'm headed to Fort Myers to see Kendall Gerville for practice this afternoon. And a little bit other update, Kenny Baker was down at Miami Northwestern yesterday to see James Johnson, the defensive tackle, who's likely to visit June 20th through 22nd officially. He's got to juggle some OVs, and that's a Florida, Georgia, Miami battle. We're really seeing in the state of Florida right now, Texas, Georgia, Texas, Florida are really battling for a lot of guys. You know, when Nick Saban retired, Nick Saban had so much success in South Florida. And then when Kirby went to Georgia, they started entering the chat in that success in South Florida. If you just go through the receivers that Nick Saban got before anybody else, the Pat Surtains, all those guys, they had so much success in South Florida when Miami was kind of a mess, and Florida State and Florida have kind of been trying to find their way. Florida State still is Florida. We'll see if they're on the come. We're going to look at something a little later on that. But it's been happy hunting ground, and the kids will leave the state. And that's why I've always said, and living down here doing this nationally when I did, these kids will leave the state just like kids from Texas will leave the state to go do something different than they've always been, or their families moved in. So Texas, Georgia, Texas, Florida are going to have some battles here again. Kendall Gerville today, where I'm going to go again, Texas, Georgia, Florida, Miami. I mean, it's your same teams battling for these D linemen in the state. Then I believe Kyle Flood is scheduled to be at Samuel Roseborough's school at Clearwater High today in IMG. Mark Orfe will be out and about in Florida. Kenoto Hudson seems like he put up got an Airbnb in Florida this month. He's been here so much. So Texas is putting in a lot of time in the Sunshine State. I will say Texas will also be back up in the Georgia this week. Lylan Clark went to see Dylan Berrymon yesterday, the nose tackle over the ball player, zero tech out of Monroe, Ouachita high school there, who's visiting June 13th, the guy that I think Texas is in a pretty good spot for. And Texas is going to be out. The staff's going to be up in the Georgia this week. They'll be in North Carolina, I believe, next week. So they're going to be out and about, and they'll still be in Texas some as well. There's some 2027s Texas is going to go look at the end of this week and early next week in the state of Texas as well.
Was that offer to Jaden Broadnax public yet, Jerry?
It is. It's on his Twitter. It's on his Twitter.
Okay. I hadn't seen it yet. So that's a 6'2" corner out of West Boca.
Yeah.
Accurate. They also offered the punter out of Prosper, Texas yesterday. Jeff Banks did. I don't know how to say his last name, so forgive me. I'm looking at it right now, and it is, where did it go? Mikey Bukauskas. Is that right, Jerry? But a punter out of prosper. We had pontificated, Jerry, that Texas might only go the portal for punter and kicker. Well, guess what? That's Steve Sarkisian and Jeff Banks have other plans. And so there you go. They did offer a punter yesterday. They had offered a kicker in Gaston Grammatica, but kind of didn't push for him. He ended up going to South Florida. I'm not sure they've offered another kicker at this point, but Mikey Bukauskas, congratulations. You've been offered a full scholarship to the University of Texas. He's had a couple other smaller offers, Jerry. This is his first, what I would call big-time offer. So same high school that produced Jake Majors, the former Longhorn center as well. What other?
We got to get one more recruiting question we got to answer, because I think, Bobby, this will be easy and we're going to have the same answers.
Okay.
Clayton Gross, I'm not going to pronounce that correctly. Who's the best recruit you've seen out of Midland, Odessa area? Just recently moved here for work. I mean, it's Roy Williams and Cedric Benson for me. Eric Winston's probably 3. I mean, those are the 3 guys that came out of Odessa, Permian, Midland, Lee, at the time Midland, Lee, now Midland, whatever.
All in a 3-year period, too.
Yeah.
4-year period. I mean,
would you put Roy Williams as the best?
No. Cedric Benson. Cedric Benson remains one of the best high school football players I've ever seen.
No doubt. The state's ever produced.
Yeah. I mean, he was so smart to be that age. And then he had the athleticism and ability on top of it. But Cedric Benson, like if you tested somebody for football IQ.
Oh, yeah.
Like if there was a test in high school as a sophomore, I mean, I'm not talking about his senior year. If you tested a running back's IQ level for football as a sophomore in high school, I think Cedric Benson would have been like off the charts. So with Cedric, it was, and Roy was a better athlete than Cedric. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Roy long jumped like what 25-7 at the state meet.
Maybe. But you're right. Cedric Benson had his just physicality, his carry to carry toughness was almost unmatched, especially in his time. He was such a physical player. He always maximized every run, and he had really good hands. He would stone you in pass pro. And boy, he's the guy you want to hand the ball to in the red zone, wasn't he, Bobby?
Dude, he's just smart.
Yes.
He knew when to give you a shoulder and when to give you a leg.
Yeah.
He knew when to pick up the blitz. I mean, that was one of the more disheartening things ever in the Mac Brown era, actually. Oh, wow.
There it is.
Yeah, dude. I'm just telling you, he knew when to give you what. But one of those disheartening things when he was a younger guy, Jerry, for me at least, was when Texas did not play him in the Texas OU game. Yeah, and lost 12-0. And no athleticism really, or nothing came from the running back spot in that game. And I would you need to stop that.
Don't show the Houston Street hit. He'll never come on the show again.
My point being with Cedric is in what I was trying to get to is he literally the best running backs know the way to maximize yardage. And I don't think Cedric Benson was the most talented running back of all time.
No, Ricky Williams had more gifts physically.
Yeah, but I will tell you, Cedric Benson may be one of the top 2 or 3 smartest running backs I've ever seen. I mean, just straight on smart. There's a guy, I tell you who else was really extraordinarily smart, but not as gifted, even as Cedric, was Mike Hart at Michigan. Yeah. Texas played him in the Rose Bowl. Just extraordinarily smart football player. So, yeah, those kind of guys. Darren Sproles, exceedingly smart football player.
Yeah,
as a running back, and that's a rare. You think about it, it's a rare gift at running back because everybody is working on instincts at that point, and you think it's just an instinctual position, and it is. It's like 95%. Running a football is like 95% instincts, but there's a little something in there about it's not intelligence. It's just football IQ.
That's it.
And those are a couple guys that had it for me.
Okay, let's see here. Up next, we have Jerry. You actually brought this to our attention yesterday. We have from Pate State, a post spring 2025 rankings, and a little bit different than a lot of the ones that we see this time of year.
Yeah, I like it. I like what Josh Pate did here. Boy, Clemson. That Clemson LSU game is looming large at Clemson. A lot of tiger on tiger hate there. I actually kind of like this list. That's what intrigued me about it is, it wasn't just the cookie cutter list. So hat tip for going out there and being a little different with your list, having Texas Tech in the top 20, which I know, Bobby, we both think should be. If they're not, I mean, they're going to fire a coach, right? I mean, with what they've spent. Is Oklahoma 10? I don't know. But again, going with your opinion, your strong opinion, and I respect that it's different than what people have put out there. Having Arizona State high, I think, is right, the highest ranked Big 12 team, and your number 2 Big 12 team is Texas Tech. I actually like having Georgia Tech up there at 17. I mean, they have great leadership on that team. They're really tough. They have an identity. I like having South Carolina because if they put enough around Lenore Sellers, dude, he is different. Illinois returns a ton. They kept their kids from leaving and jumping in the portal. So they're a threat to people. Is A&M really 14? I don't know if I see that. Is Oklahoma 10? I don't know. But I like that. I like a lot of the list.
We're going to ask Chat GPT what Oklahoma is a little later in this show.
That's going to be interesting.
Look, there are a couple on here that I think are just kind of personally dumb. Like, I think Clemson is the number 1 team in the country. Texas kicked the ever living what out of them. They're not the number 1 team in the country. They don't have I don't care who your defensive coordinator is, Jerry. They can be better. They're not going to be that much better on defense. They're just not. And so they're going to try to outscore people, but I'm not a Clemson believer. I'm a disbeliever. I think they may be 6 through 10. That's my opinion. I have a hard time putting LSU in the top 5, given what Brian Kelly has produced at LSU thus far in college football. I mean, he had the Heisman Trophy winner and 2 unbelievable wide receivers and still lost 4 games. So I'm not there. OU, I think to your point, I have a hard time believing that one. They'll have to way outkick their coverage to go 7-5 or to be a top 10 team at the end of the year. The one that I'll just say this, the 2 that I look at and say, Ole Miss at 16. They're betting on a new quarterback. I will say that. I doubt that. And then 19, Michigan. If Michigan's name wasn't Michigan, I think you would more likely go with 7-6 for them. I don't know that they're going to be very good this year. So, it's kind of like, how Texas used to hang out in those 19 to 25 rankings, Jerry, or 18 to 25 preseason, and you knew they weren't going to be good, but they got put in those lists because they were Texas. That's what I feel about Michigan right now a little bit, guys. I think they're on the wane, even though they've tried to recruit real well, et cetera. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I want to add this before I let you go. If Texas Tech doesn't win the Big 12 this year, Joey McGuire needs to be fired, probably. So,
at least play for it, because Arizona State's got a really good team. A lot of guys back.
They've spent 5 times the money of any other Big 12 team, in my opinion, based on what I think.
I would say if they're not in the Big 12 title game, like if they don't get there, I think they got some issues. My thought is, look, somebody asked, why is Alabama that high? A lot of people are going to have Bama ranked pretty high. They have a lot of guys back.
I have no problem with Alabama.
Yeah,
Alabama could win the national championship, Jerry.
Now, but again, if you look at this, Texas first time starting quarterback, Alabama same, Notre Dame new quarterback, Oregon new quarterback, Ohio State new quarterback, Oklahoma he's a transfer quarterback, Georgia pretty much a younger guy. Miami's quarterback, whatever. Then you get Ole Miss, first-time starter at quarterback. Michigan, new quarterback, going to be a younger guy. There's a lot of that obviously going on now, whether it's transfers or bringing in some new guys. That LSU Clemson game is interesting to me because LSU is going to be the latest test case for, can you rebuild a defense in the portal? Can Brian Kelly almost do what FSU did? Because FSU had some real impact guys in the portal on defense, and it changed the trajectory for them. And LSU added a lot of dudes on defense in the portal. But can Blake Baker get them cohesive game one at Clemson? That's the question, because they got Patrick Pate, they got some guys now. They got a number of guys in the secondary. They really improved their defense through the portal. But how quickly can you pull it all together in game one? Because fair or not, that Brian Kelly will be judged in game one. And if Dabo loses to LSU at home, then what happens with him? Not saying he's going to be fired, but he's going to take a lot. Because, hey, you're ranked this high, you have all your guys back, and blah, 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 and then you lost to an SEC team. But LSU is going to be that latest test case of, can you build a defense in 1 year really in the portal? I mean, he's got some players back in his second year there as a DC, but they had a number of starters come in from the portal. How long will it take him to get those guys playing together? I think it's going to be interesting.
Okay, well, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone out there about Vaughn Lane.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. New route for Vaughn Lane. I was heard about yesterday. They're going from the Woodlands now up into Dallas. So not only Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Fort Worth, but now into the Woodlands as well, straight into their Love Field terminal. You got to get from one city to another, and like always, it's a toss-up. Do you deal with the airport chaos and hope your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel, battling traffic and burning a day? Now there's another option, and it's better in every way. Arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. Settle into a plush leather seat, a hot towel, pillow, blanket, all at arm's reach. Your attendant offers complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal. If you need to relax, just lean back and enjoy the ride. If you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. While you're unplugging or powering through, the Vaughn Lane team is monitoring traffic in real time, using smarter routes and efficient detours to keep your trip smooth and on schedule. Now is the perfect time to plan your fall travel. Booking is open through September, so that means you can get some games in here, whether you're headed to a college football game, a weekend getaway, or a business trip that needs to be done right at the very last minute. Vaughn Lane makes the journey part of the reward, serving Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and even in the Southeast, Atlanta, Nashville, and Memphis. Visit vaughnlane.com and use code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. That's OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. Ride Vaughn Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. It's a new way to go to major cities in the state of Texas.
Thank you, Bobby. And I'm also going to take this opportunity to tell everyone about Huel today. And if you're constantly on the go, or maybe you're just tired of skipping meals, then Huel has you covered. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a total game changer. Got it right here. I think it's, chocolate today. It's a complete meal in one bottle, 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins, minerals, high fiber, and low sugar. So you're going to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. There's no prep, no cleanup. Just grab it and go. And Huel's already sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. New customers can get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use promo code ONTexas. And right now, we're at the end of the school year. My mornings are still insane. I'm trying to get my 3 kids off to school, trying to prepare for coffee and football. It's hectic. And that's where Huel comes in. It's my go-to. I grab it out of the fridge, give it a good shake, and I'm ready to go. It keeps me full, energized, and focused so I can tackle whatever the day may throw at me. So start saving time and money without compromising your nutrition today with this exclusive offer for new customers. You're going to get 15% off plus a free gift when you use promo code ONTexas at Huel.com. Again, 15% off plus that free gift, and it's a nice gift for new customers using code ONTexas at Huel.com. Please see their description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition bottled.
Hey,
Before we go forward, hey, 1 second, Jerry. Before we go forward, Ed B said, took Von Lane to Dallas. Loved it. Thanks for trying them out, dude. Appreciate it. Those guys do good work, and I'm happy about them. Jerry, one other thing I wanted to mention before we went forward. A lot of people are talking about Clemson ahead of Texas in the chat. And my apology, Lee Barden, my apology if this was already discussed, but Clemson ahead of Texas, I don't think so. Klubnik is a proven commodity, but their defense leaves a lot to be desired. I want to say this. The one thing I noticed, and they didn't do a lot against Texas from the pocket. And so and they didn't run the ball well against Texas. So I'm not a big believer in Clemson's offensive line, generally speaking. So, and I know Texas had a good defense last year. But he did.
And Moffat was beat up. He had shoulder surgery like 6 days after. He couldn't do anything.
That's true, but there weren't any holes, Jerry. I mean, they didn't even try. I felt like in just watching them, I felt like it was the Klubnik show on offense with good receivers. And how far is that going to take you? That's not a number one team in the country offense, in my opinion. So I'll say that. Although they'll score a lot of points because they have the receivers and they have Klubnik. So go ahead, Jerry.
It comes down to this: how much better can they get under Tom Allen on defense? Because they have talent. Is it a year experience? Dabo actually went to the portal. Probably got a couple starters out of the portal. I think he felt like he had to, else he was going to lose. It was actually going to all slip away from him. But see what I'm interested to see what Tom Allen does. If they come out and have a good showing against LSU, then I think my belief will change a little bit there on them. I was going to say for the chat, somebody needs one of us three has to do one of the live morning shows on a Von Lane. So the chat, y'all get to vote on who that'll be.
I want to do it. I want to do it, but you got to worry. You got a little worried because they want it to be nice and quiet too. They don't want a little raucous. So maybe I do think we may be doing a little tour with Von Lane later this year, by the way. So going to a bunch of different Texas cities, hopefully to see some folks and have some fun. All right, let's get to a couple of super chats if you don't mind, Blake.
Yeah.
And we told y'all that we were going to do this thing with OU's schedule and Chat GPT. We did Texas's a couple weeks back, right? And Texas was predicted to win 10 games. I think A&M was predicted to win 7.
Correct.
OU is predicted to win how many, Blake Monroe?
5.
5.
5. Here, let me.
How's that for number 10 ranked team in the country?
Yeah, let me go ahead and bring that up here.
Look, that's what I was going to follow up with. If they end up a top 10 team in the country, then they have kicked ass on this schedule. And this is a brutal schedule, if you ask me. I mean, Michigan at home. Sharon Moore's not obviously suspended for that game. He takes his own suspension the games after that. But this is a really difficult schedule. I mean, because when this schedule popped up 2 years ago, you didn't know who Lenora Sellers was. Now you're at South Carolina. Okay. You're at Tennessee. You're at Alabama. I mean, this is a brutal SEC schedule for Oklahoma. If they go 9-3 and finish 10 in the country on this schedule, Brent Venables, he should get an extension, in my opinion, because this is a difficult schedule.
The Chat GPT, just in case you're wondering here, has them losing 6 of their last 7.
Correct. 1 win in 2 months.
Yeah. 6 of their last 7.
Vegas has Oklahoma at 6.5 wins. Again, I mean, if Venables goes 9-3 on this schedule, ends up a top 10 ranked team, I mean, guy probably should get an extension.
And he needs a lifetime contract, just like Michael Early over at A&M baseball.
I mean, you think about this. You think about how bad this schedule could go for him. He could almost get fired week 4 because if if what's his name, the old quarterback that's at Auburn, if Auburn walks in and beats him in Norman, I can't remember the kid's
Jackson
name.
Arnold.
Yeah, with Jackson Arnold, he's as good as gone.
Yeah, he's toast.
Then in October you have Texas at South Carolina, Ole Miss at Tennessee, and then you have a week off before Bama. But those 4 games in a row, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, that's a hard schedule to keep your job if your butt's on the line. But Billy Napier pulled it off last year, but it was year 3. There's a big difference.
Yeah, this is year 4 for Brent Venables. I will say this: if he starts off 5-2, or 4-1, and then loses to Texas, okay, the Wolves are going to be howling in mid-October. Okay, howling. He could be, if it works, if the schedule works like this prediction, Blake and Jerry, he will be fired by the first week of November.
Yeah.
Period. And I'll just, because they're not gonna go into November 4-4.
Yeah. And
not be talking about what they're gonna do, or 4-5. I got a strong suspicion that this could be he's got to come with it this year. He should have the defense to have him compete. Questions: will the offense get there in time?
Woodcrest, if Venables gets fired and Dillingham wants to stay at ASU, or let's say stay at ASU, wait for the USC job or Oregon job, probably not Oregon, USC. If he wants to stay at ASU, I know he's an ASU grad. Who would Oklahoma realistically get? I've said some of the issue is when you fire a defensive guy, you normally go for an offensive guy, right? It's kind of the way college football is. That would lead you to the path of Dillingham or Lane Kiffin, right? If you just go for the best coach, maybe it would be a really good fit and a really good hire. I mean, for me, if Dillingham says no, I'm going to Ames, Iowa, and bringing Matt Campbell to Oklahoma. I think NIL is finally going to force him to leave on some level. I would go hire Matt Campbell if I was Oklahoma. I would get it consistently, well-coached team, the guy that evaluates well. I think he'd do very well at Oklahoma.
I kind of wonder if Jim Nagy, the GM there, would have any influence over an NFL type pick.
That's a good question.
But you never know. Let's see what happens. I mean, look, OU's got a quarterback that it's kind of an X factor right now. We don't know what to really expect. He had a good season at Washington State, out of Little Elm, Texas, up in the Metroplex. John Mateer, his offensive coordinator, came with him from Washington State, so that should provide some consistency. They could, to your point, Jerry, they could be the surprise of the SEC this year. But right now, the odds are stacked against them.
Yeah. The other name that'll be brought up, if there's an opening there, I think you'll see Dillingham. I think Lane Kiffin's name will appear. I think Matt Campbell's name will appear, although he really doesn't have an agent, so his name rarely appears in anything. Shane Beamer, his name will probably pop into that on some level as well.
I think it's also important to note that 40% of the games they are projecting to win are less than 5-point spreads. So both Auburn and what was the other? Missouri. You got Auburn 3.5 and Missouri 2.5. Oklahoma's not favored by much, neither one of those.
Interesting.
So
yeah. Yeah. LSU's only favored by 4.5. Ole Miss by 3.5. Let's see. We'll see. I mean, OU's they gotta make a run this year.
Yep. Okay. Well, Jerry, I know you got to get out of here pretty soon. But before you do, I need you to do me a huge favor and tell everyone out there about Mark Saunders.
Yeah, Texas alum, Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders. He serves the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas. He's the only insurance agent you'll need when it comes to protecting all your stuff. Wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? At Mark Saunders, he's your guy. Everything from your home, car, boat to your motorcycle, RV, and an ATV if you got one of those. Call Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders' office today at 512-218-8571. Are you in good hands? You'll be in great hands with the over 35 years of experience that Texas alum Mark Saunders brings to the table. One might say Jerry Rice hands on a slant. Stick them. The best hands. It's great experienced hands. Again, if you're looking for someone local to the Austin and Round Rock area and the entire state of Texas, give Mark Saunders in his office a call today at 512-218-8571 and do what so many other On Texas football community members have done over the last couple of years.
Thank you, Jerry. You got time for a super chat before you get out
Sure.
of here?
Yeah, I got 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let's do this one from Matty M. We appreciate your super chat, Matty. Good morning, OTF. What an impressive interview with Felix Ojo. Sark is definitely after the right guys. Do you think we'll see more Arch under center in the Arch Keesian era? Will we get a true Tush Push or just a quarterback sneak? Hook 'em.
I'll say the first thing, I think there's a number of guys that Texas is recruiting that fall into that category. I mean, Derek Cooper, you talked to yesterday. They're doing. That's why you have to get all these guys on campus as much as possible, as multiple times, and get around the kids, get around the families. If you really, the huddle tape, the in-person spring evaluation, that stuff's pretty easy. But it's once you get all these kids on campus, this is why you get them on campus, to find the fits. Who's a really good fit? And I think Texas is doing a really good job of that in general. So not taking anything away from Felix Ojo, I'd say there's a number of guys like that. There's a number of guys like that in the last class as well. Even your guys that weren't as highly ranked, like a Caleb Chester, was tremendous in interviews. Like, you could see what attracted Blake Gideon, Terry Joseph, Steve Sarkisian to a Caleb Chester. So they're doing a great job in that regard. Arch under center, maybe more in the play action game, maybe more quarterback waggles, moving the pocket. I do think we're going to see some things this year with Arch that maybe we haven't seen as much prior.
Archesian, Sarch. We've got a list of names going on here that people are giving it. I would just say this. I do think you're going to see the Tush Push. If it's legal, they're going to do it. Why wouldn't you? And Arch is such a different player and runner than Quinn Ewers. You're actually, it should work, frankly, fairly easily. So I would be a big proponent of that.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. Hello, Tate Monroe. Game over.
And then he also put in a super chat.
Perfect.
Saying, I'll pay you back, Dad.
No, you won't. Yeah, when you're 28.
Very, very highly doubt that'll happen, but at least he's watching the show. All right, Jerry, I know you got to get out of here.
I do. Well, I got to answer this one. They keep coming in. Drew Lockhart. Bobby, Jerry, in the recruiting industry, is Bixby High in South Tulsa a name you've heard in the last decade or so for putting out talent? Bixby has had a lot of kids recently. I don't know if it's not living up there. Some people in the chat may know better than I do, but they've had some really good players come out of Bixby yet. And they have a couple other young kids there now. I don't know if it's because Jinx maybe not as dominant in the area and every kid's not going to Jinx maybe like they used to, or maybe some of the Tulsa schools may not be as powerful as they once were. But Bixby's definitely been on the come for about 8 to 10 years. You hear a lot of guys, they almost have a D1 or 2 guy every year coming out of there at this point. It's been pretty impressive because I didn't know the name Bixby until probably 8-9 years ago.
Yeah. Tulsa, it was always Tulsa. It was always Jinx, Tulsa Union, and then also Tulsa Booker T. Washington. And they've had some other teams out of there. Broken Arrow has been good here and there as well. So that area is actually a pretty good, a really good football area in my opinion. But the thing about Tulsa players, they don't necessarily go to OU. No. A lot of them will go to Arkansas, frankly. Felix Jones, the old Cowboys running back, was from Tulsa and went to Arkansas. So Josh Jacobs, the running back for, I think who's he at now? Is he at Green Bay? But played at Alabama. He was from Tulsa as well. There's
by the way, Alfio VC. I had a teammate from Jinx. Yep, Brian Pickrell, one of the most talented players that injuries got him. Brian Pickrell was a stud.
Yep.
Brian Pickrell would have been an NFL pass rusher all day for 8 to 10 years if those shoulders would have held up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, I got to hit the road. Got to get across the state of Florida. Jeff Howe and I are recording recruiting breakdown here in a couple hours as well after I get settled over there. Everybody have a great day. And look forward to being back tomorrow. I have the On Texas Football on the Road.com, the website, that thread going. I'll be reporting from Kendall Gerville's practice this afternoon. We have stuff all week.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate you, man. Have fun on Alligator Alley.
Absolutely. I'll send
road. I've been down that road before. I've been down that road.
All right, Bobby, we got more super chats that we need to get to. And I'm just going to start here at the top and we'll work our way down. We're going to start with Jay Lee. Are y'all not concerned about the offensive line? Cole was the worst graded lineman 3 years in a row. Neto couldn't get on the field. Campbell struggled all year, etc.
Of course we're concerned. Like I'm concerned about everything, right? Now I do have some hope, though. So it's not this black and white discussion. It's kind of nuanced and gray. I think that there are elements of this offensive line that can be better than a year ago. I think that there are elements of this offensive line that we got to be worried about. And so I think that's all fine and good. The strengths of this offensive line should be the run blocking on the interior. That should be an improved strength, in my opinion, year over year. Okay. I'm a little concerned about right tackle right now. Brandon Baker is the one that has played almost no football at Texas, and he's being asked to man the right tackle spot. In conjunction with that, the tight end is brand new. If it's Spencer Shannon. So how are they going to work in conjunction in the inline blocker? Because Jack Andrews, I think, going to be more of a H-back flex guy. So my point being here for y'all is, of course, we're concerned. But it's not this linear thing where it's either or. You can be concerned yet hopeful. And that's how I would define how I feel. A large part of my reasoning for that, by the way, the hope is Trevor Goosby. Because the most difficult position to find a good player at on the offensive line is left tackle. And, you know, when you have a quarterback like Arch Manning, you want a left tackle. And so Trevor Goosby being there, I think, makes me feel have a lot more hope and confidence that they can get it done. So I would say I would add that, Jay Lee. Thanks for the super chat.
A lot of people also commenting about, as you said, Arch and his mobility as well. So,
no, I mean, look, Cade Klubnik had a great year last year. I think Clemson's offensive line was Swiss cheese. And mobility is the great equalizer. I think that Arizona State's offensive line was, you know, I think they were very average at best. Sam Levitt made them look good at times against Texas because he Houdini'd half the team sometimes. So a mobile quarterback is certainly a great equalizer.
All right, Bobby, we got another one here. This one from our friend Jack. Jack, as I say each and every day, we appreciate you. And Jack asks, with talk about moving to the 16-game playoff, do you think it's going to force Notre Dame into a conference?
No, because they're busy setting up long-term agreements to play ACC teams. They just announced, I think, an 8-year agreement with Clemson.
Yes.
Play home and away. They're talking with folks in the ACC about doing something separate where Miami and Florida State are annual games and North Carolina annual games. And if they do that, there will be no reason for them to move to a conference. Notre Dame has no interest in going to a conference. And as long as they have an individual deal with NBC and continue to get into the college football playoff, why would they care? There's no The only way it goes to that Notre Dame is forced into a conference. I don't even know you can force them into a conference. You just force them into, college football becomes 2 32-team leagues. And if they want to participate in the national championship, they have to be in one of those leagues. But I don't think that's a long way off from happening. And so I just don't see the impetus, Jack, in my, I'm 55. I don't think Notre Dame's going to be in a conference in the next 15 to 25 years. I don't see it right now, much less the next 10.
And then we have a super chat from Jackson. Thank you, Jackson, as always. Y'all think that Slinging Sam could have won a natty with any of our Sark era teams? Looking at you, 2021, he says. Hook 'em, and thanks for the great work.
What do you think, Blake? Do you think Texas would have won a national championship in 23 or 24 with Sam Ehlinger?
Oh, man. Definitely not 2021.
2023.
Oh, I know, but I saw him say 21. I mean, yeah, or at least played for one. I think how much would would he have helped in those playoff games where we saw Texas offense stall a little bit, especially against Washington at times? Yeah, I think it. I don't know, Bobby. I mean, yeah, yes.
I would say no is the answer. It could have. I actually could have won. Yeah, sure, they could have. I don't think they would have.
I think it would have helped.
Yeah,
at times,
against certain teams, but I think it would have hurt against certain teams. I mean, Sam is a great runner of the football for a quarterback and a hard-nosed Texas through and through guy, but he wasn't he didn't throw as quickly to the flat or as accurately to the flat as Quinn. So Texas would have scored against Ohio State on that last drive. Yes, but would they have hit the pass to Gunnar Helm up the seam?
That's a great point.
See, that's my.
There's a lot of give and take, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that Quinn does better than Sam, in my opinion. So it's not. Oh well, he throws the ball just as better as Sam.
What about this one from Rex?
No, Texas would have won a natty with Bijan. No, I don't think so. I mean, Texas had plenty good running backs in 23.
I'm with Splendid Daddy. I think Sam would have helped some of your red zone offense.
Oh, no doubt. No, there's no doubt. And I think Arch, a lot of same factors in for Arch for this year for us.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are thinking as well. So I get that.
Yeah, for sure. It says Sam would never would have hit 4th and 13. So
Sam wasn't a bad thrower. Okay. There's a difference here. I think that there's just a give and take. Yeah. I don't know that Sam was perfect, and I don't know that Quinn Ewers was perfect. So there's a give and take. And so you don't know, like, I will say this: does Texas beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa with Sam at quarterback?
That's a great question.
And I would say the answer is no. And that's why would they even have been in that position to play for that? So that's all. Now,
fun fan question for sure.
Yeah, no, and I also want to say I'm talking about an 18 to 22-year-old Sam, not a playing for the Denver Broncos now like he is. Different story.
We have a question here from Splendid Daddy. Thank you, Splendid Daddy. And he says, can OU even afford to make Texas their Super Bowl with that schedule?
They better. I mean, look, they better. If they don't, I mean, they need to make – look, they got to beat Auburn early. They got Michigan early. I'm intrigued by what they do this year, and this is the schedule that you had out there earlier that has the favorites. I think they can beat Michigan at home. I think they're going to beat Michigan at home. I think they'll be 4-1 heading into Texas. I think Auburn's going to have I think Auburn may beat them.
I agree.
But I think they'll beat Michigan. So
October is when it really gets rough.
Yeah. It started with Texas.
As we said earlier.
I mean, look, Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, that's 5 in a row. They get out of that 3-2. they should have a parade in Norman.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening.
No. Okay, Bobby, we got time for just another question or two. But before we do, I'm going to let you tell everyone about our sponsor today, and that's Rick Valvero and Austin Underground.
Yeah, Austin Underground, the team's engineering background gives Austin Underground the ability to perform work other firms often consider too risky. They specialize in difficult underground commercial installations. You see all the cranes up in downtown. Well, there's stuff going on below the ground. That's Rick and his team offering an end-to-end client experience, including seamless communication, budgeting, staffing, and top-notch trade partners. And most importantly, they produce solid quality work each and every time. That's Austin Underground. Also, give Rick and his team a shout out at the Lone Star Bar out in Jonestown, Texas. Rick's a multiple grad of the University of Texas. He started a bar out in Jonestown where he lives out there and hangs out. Lone Star Bar, if you're out by the lake, give him a try. Stop by and say hi to Rick and his friends.
Thank you, Bobby. Okay, well, let's see here. Just another question or two before we get out of here. And let's see. We got a few of them. I'm trying to save the recruiting ones for Jerry here, but let's take this one from Courtney Hall, because if anybody knows the answer, it'll be you, Bobby. Courtney wants to know, good morning from Corpus Christi, Texas. Has Texas ever recruited someone from Corpus?
Absolutely. And from Gregory Portland as well in that area. Victor Frazier was a defensive back. Cody Danaher's dad was the coach at Cal Allen. Big defensive lineman back in the day. Dominic Bustamante was from Corpus. Yeah, I mean, Texas has recruited guys from Corpus before. Absolutely. And surrounding areas.
And then Christopher Weatherford wants to know if there's any update on CJ Baxter and his progress with his injury.
Of late, all we've heard and what we saw a little bit in the spring was him walking around with no limp. He did not work out with the team at all. So there's been none of that, Chris, to give you an update. Right now, they're hoping for mid to early August as a return, but that is optimistic. I think the more likely scenario is early to mid-September and then work his way into football shape by October.
And our last one for today, Roger G says, how many defensive backs do you think Texas will take in this class?
I talked to Jerry about this actually, so I can answer for Jerry. It's 4 to 5 is the number. 2 corners, 2 safeties ostensibly. The difference being what they want. Overall, Blake, is they're looking for maybe 1 true safety and 1 guy that is a safety / nickel / corner. So in somewhat Dwayne Aquina form, where he likes guys that are interchangeable at some level, that's a piece of the puzzle. So I think they may go 1 true safety and then look for guys that can play multiple positions.
There you go. All right, Bobby. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. What can fans expect later today? Right here.
Well, Jerry's talking about the recruiting breakdown. He is truly driving on Alligator Alley today, I believe. So that's between the East Coast of Florida and West Coast through Lake Okeechobee region. So we'll have a recruiting breakdown. We'll also have the Tuesday night live stream and be back for that. If you want to have updated news and notes, CJ's up in Dallas area. He was at Waxahachie High School yesterday looking at a junior to be quarterback that Texas is evaluating very hard right now. Jerry Meyer is his name. So keep that in mind, as well as a wide receiver that Texas has already offered. That's a really young guy there. But they'll have news and notes from recruiting. Also, the live stream later tonight as well. And we'll also have it on TexasFootball.com.
And speaking of on TexasFootball.com, if you're not a member, come over there and join us. Check us out. When you're signing up, if you'll use promo code OTFOG, you can get an annual subscription for $49.95. A full year for less than $50. You can't beat that as long as you use that promo code OTFOG. Well, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton, Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.